none other than the one and only Mr. Tommy Lasorda. So let's get back to the radio station to hear some more.
With host, the Reverend Andy Bales.
I have to tell you all that I have gotten to be a friend of Tommy's. I've gotten to hang out with him and eat dinner because I have a friend who considers Tommy his dad, and so I've gotten the pleasure of knowing Tommy. But I was promised that he would be here tonight about 2 months ago, and I said, it's scheduled to be the 4th game of the World Series. Doesn't matter, we'll get Tommy there. And I think the World Series caught LA by storm, and Tommy didn't make it. But I have to tell you, I don't know if Tommy's at the game or not tonight because his brother passed away 2 days ago. Right. And I want you to be in prayer for Tommy as he going through maybe one of the most exciting times in his life, but one of the most sorrowful. But Tommy would have been here, and he's been a fan of Union Rescue Mission for a long time, and we're going to flash a picture of Tommy in a little bit, and you'll see I didn't even know that he used to hang out at the Christmas store and hang out with our kids back in 2003. Alexandra tells me there's a video of him going down the kids' slide and having some challenges as he navigated that. But before Hope Gardens was even Hope Gardens, my first initiative was to hire the Dodger, Mr. Dodger himself, to do a radio ad on KFWB, back then, biggest news station, voice of the Dodgers, and I want you to listen to that radio segment.
It's like having a disease. No one wants to be near you. I don't tell anyone we sleep at a shelter because I'm afraid they won't want to be my friend. Sometimes I cry because I feel so scared.
Hi, I'm Tommy Lasorda, and stories like Tiffany's are being told every single day in Los Angeles. Hope is on the way. The Hope Gardens Family Center is a calm, safe, and a serene place, far away from the dangerous streets of Skid Row. A place where mothers can acquire the skills that are necessary to care of themselves and their children. But we need your help. Please take a moment and go to urm.org and make a contribution that can change the lives of the children like Tiffany. The Union Rescue Mission is determined to get these beautiful children into the safe haven of Hope Gardens.
I hope someday things get better.
urm.org. Don't the children deserve it?
Probably 2 years before we moved our first mom and child to Hope Gardens. And when we had neighborhood meetings, I call them neighborhood beatings, 34 neighborhood beatings, 21 months, $1.9 million legal and other costs battle, and then finally a 6-hour planning and zoning hearing. The thing that drove the neighbors the most, I guess, angry was that ad on KFWB. But Tommy really paved the way to make it possible for our moms and kids to escape the mean streets of Skid Row. And today there are over 60 families, 140 kids, and 27 senior ladies living a life of safety and hope at Hope Gardens Family Center. So I believe Alfonso is going to accept the award on Tommy's behalf.
Yes. Well, we all know that Tommy is also known for his incredibly big heart. The Sportsman Award recognizes an individual whose faithful philanthropic efforts embody the spirit of Union Rescue Mission. Tommy Lasorda has invested time into serving the families of Union Rescue Mission over the years. He was instrumental in helping us launch Hope Gardens Family Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in celebrating Mr. Tommy Lasorda. Fortunately for Tommy, not for Tommy is in Houston, Texas at the World Series. So, like Andy said, I will accept this award on his behalf, and I will make sure that he sees this award and gets it to put it on his mantle to know how much he will appreciate. Thank you. Now, we will hear more amazing stories from Skid Row.
Now, let's get back to more amazing stories from Skid Row with host, the Reverend Andy Bales.
Welcome, Kenneth.
Thanks for having me.
We like having you on our show, maybe for the third or fourth time.
Right.
As you've
Mama
told your
Kitty.
story. He calls Kitty Mama Kitty, and there's a reason for that. And I want to just ask you, where were you before you moved into the 5th floor of Union Rescue Mission during the Great Recession?
Yeah.
2008, I was in foster care. My foster home was located right off of Sunset and Gower, right next to the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, if you head just slightly north of it. On the right side, across from the gym, you know, that was it. The big, ugly building that's painted one color with the windows that circle around. Men are on one side, and females are on one side. It was me and my little sister. And then when we went to court on October 31st, 2007 or 8, I want to say. So it's almost 10 years ago, exactly.
Wow.
The date. Judge Hahn, the former mayor, ordered us out of foster care and allowed us to live with my father at the Union Rescue Mission.
They moved into the 5th floor, which we had just opened for 2-parent families, because that's what happened. 2-parent families began
Didn't have
to
a
come
place,
to Union Rescue Mission, and we just opened a floor and said we will welcome every 2-parent family, every single dad with kids who comes our way. You were one of the first who came in, and here's this young man comes in, going to Helen Bernstein High School,
Hollywood.
starting football, tailback on the football team, president of the student council, straight A student, just a remarkable young man.
Yes.
And you made your way every day through those tough sidewalks to school with dreams of going to Harvard and being a brain surgeon.
Right.
So then tell us what happened.
So what happened is I got to operate with Sanjay Gupta. I had the
On
opportunity.
CNN.
Yes.
Live on
2010, so it's on TV, I'm not lying. It's not fake news either. I flew out to Braden Memorial Hospital in 2010 and had the opportunity to operate with Dr. Sanjay Gupta. We were replacing the cartilage between the 4th and 5th vertebrae of the subject's spine. So there's an incision here, and we were replacing downward into the spine, so we had an opportunity to separate where the throat and the aorta is the main part, and then we separated the bones to insert the artificial heart.
Remember, it's dinner.
Cannot
And
see
so
that.
that was the moment I decided not to be a surgeon.
Something happened. Same thing that happened to me a few times, right? And you changed careers, but you'll tell all about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But I want to just have you in 1 minute name every famous person you met, and you better not leave off this last one.
Yeah.
Every famous person you met because you came to URM, and see if you can do it in a minute. I can help you if you.
Okay,
can
so
strike.
it started with Nnamdi Asomugha. He retired from the Raiders. Great man, great family. Nnamdi and Lillian Asomugha.
Greatest defensive back in the NFL. all the time.
Yes, that's the man. I love that boy. Just had second baby. And then we move on to Maxine Waters, who I met when I was in Washington, D.C. Congresswoman Karen Bass, who helped support me while I was in college with a scholarship that was named after her daughter who passed away while she was in college at the same school. Andre Ethier, the Dodgers Foundation, just all
7
of it,
minutes
just
on the
Magic
big
Johnson,
screen
just
during
go
the
big
game.
man, you just go big man.
Magic
He
Johnson.
gave me his limo when I went to prom, when I was at the Union Rescue Mission, so that I could go to prom. Magic Johnson. His driver is Michael, I still remember to this day, 2010. Did I forget?
You're forgetting the Prince and the Duke.
Oh, the
and
Duke and
Duchess.
Duchess came to Los Angeles in, what was it, 2010, 2011. They visited an arts organization. That was Inner City Arts. And I had the opportunity to interact with them and let them know why the arts was such an importance to young men and women on the streets.
Did you ever
and
meet
how it's
Nnamdi's
a
wife?
escape. I've never met Nnamdi's wife,
Terry
Karen
Washington.
Washington, but I can only imagine, considering the character that his children
Oh,
have. He is a
yes.
great father, and he is an amazing one.
And you had lunch with the mayor of Los
Yes.
Angeles.
I did. Mr. Garcetti, Antonio Villaraigosa, while I was in high school, gave a speech on why the arts mattered to former foster, former homeless youth, and why secondary education mattered, just access to secondary education for LMU.
And maybe that's enough, but I will say that all of those people teamed up with Union Rescue Mission and the Dodgers to send you to Loyola Marymount.
It takes a village.
Now we'll let you. And here's a film that will tell a little bit more about Kenneth.
I was introduced to the Union Rescue Mission in December of 2008 as a result of a foster care dependency case. In order to be awarded custody with my father, who didn't have a place at the time, he had to go to a shelter, and that was Union Rescue Mission. So there was one night at the Union Rescue Mission where I was complaining to my dad about places to do homework. And he texted Mama Kitty, and Mama Kitty got us on the roof. So I started doing homework on the roof. And I consider this a pivotal moment because it's so beautiful and serene to see the city lights. But the moment you look down off that roof, you see what you just escaped. And so it was my moment to look forward both to my future and to my education as my means of escape from what I was going through. The Union Rescue Mission is always a home to me, and it always has been, so I'm happy to give back, whether it's Mondays at the mission with the youth, which is always so beautiful, or assisting in any fundraising event that they have, or even cooking turkeys, deep frying some turkeys. But Union Rescue Mission has a special place in my heart.
The Dare to Dream Award is awarded to an individual who has persevered through extraordinary circumstance to achieve their life calling. Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson, will you please join me at the podium to present the award to Kenneth?
One more time for our host, Alfonso Ribeiro. I'm old enough to remember Silver Spoon, so it's very exciting to see you. It's very exciting to be here, a part of this great event for the Union Rescue Mission. I just want to take a second before I do what I was asked to do what I want to do, and that is to ask you to join me on behalf of the 4 million residents of the city of Los Angeles in thanking Reverend Andy Bales and the Union Rescue Mission for making us a little bit closer to the City of Angels than we would be without you. Let's give them another big round of applause. I'm also very excited to be presenting the award to the one and only Kenneth Chancey. I met Kenneth Chancey several months ago after getting a phone call from my mentor and our Congresswoman, Karen Bass. She said, I've got a good young man that I've known. He got the scholarship named in my daughter's honor at LMU. We need to get him working on meaningful work in our community. Give him an interview, talk to him, meet him, he'll blow your socks off. And we, before we could even reach out to Kenneth, Kenneth reached out to us, and he showed up, Reverend Bales, in my office, and I said, hi, my name is Marquise. He says, Kenneth, he says, yes, you've passed 54 motions, 4 in this category, 10 in this category, 10 on this. This one I don't think was such a good idea, but your other ones were very, very good. Demonstrated a strong ability to be thorough and to be committed to doing good work. When during the time that I've known Kenneth, I feel like every month I find out a more amazing thing that I didn't know. Like tonight, I didn't know that you had played football. I imagine in a few months I'm going to learn that you were a competitor for the Heisman Trophy or something. But you learn amazing things about his story, his journey, where he's been, the challenges that he had to confront. And I'm reminded when I think of people like Kenneth, in any group, among people who are homeless, among foster care, among wealthy people, among poor people, among politicians, among business people. All groups are basically the same. Most people are average. There's a small number of people that are well below average, and then there are a few people that are outstanding. And Kenneth is one of those people that is outstanding. And what makes him worthy of this award and makes this the kind of city that I want to live in is that outstanding people don't forget the average people and the below average people. He's dedicated his life to making sure people don't have to overcome the barriers that he had to overcome, that people don't face the challenges at such a young age that he faced. And so I am proud on behalf of our office in Council District 8 and the Union Rescue Mission to present this award to Mr. Kenneth Chancey tonight. Thank you so much.
Just a warning, in a second, you guys will all be crying. That was beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that I receive this honor with deep gratitude. I'm humbled to stand here accepting an award that speaks to my highest childhood aspiration, escaping homelessness. This award, with my sweat and fingerprints and all, embodies the beauty of my Skid Row experience, a physical manifestation which forever remind me that for all the cruelty and hardship I've had to endure in this world, I have not been made a prisoner of my socioeconomic status. Yeah. I refuse to let my hard times obscure my good times and remain steadfast in ensuring that my light shined, despite the bone-chilling darkness that left me shivering on too many nights, wondering what I would do next. I stand here today as living proof of the outcomes you can expect when you give an opportunity to a homeless human being. And yet, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge this considerable compassion, support, and personal attention that I have received on the road from homelessness into being a productive member of society. I am at the beginning of my service to this village, which has lifted me out of the trenches. And compared to some of the legends I'm sharing the stage with, my accomplishments are slight. The most significant issue surrounding my receipt of this Dare to Dream award is the fact that I'm here alive and smiling and grateful for the 25 years that I've been blessed with. You see, because I'm not your typical honoree. I grew up with young parents who confronted one another daily and struggled financially. Despite their most valiant efforts, we wound up homeless by the time I was 11. We would go back and forth from the streets to my grandmother's house, and then back to the streets, and then back to my grandma's house again. And after getting back on track, we fell off the wagon once more, this time resulting in a foster home placement for my siblings and I. After half a year of moving from group home to group home, my father was granted reunification on one condition: you must have a roof over your children's head. You see, he was homeless at the time. But my lawyer, who is here, seated at, I believe, table 7, who's lovely and waving at me, from Children's Law Center, my attorney argued to former mayor of Los Angeles, Judge Hahn, who's now a judge in Santa Monica Court, but he was my foster care judge at the time, that poverty is not grounds for keeping a child away from their parents. So I ask you to allow my clients to stay with their father at the Union Rescue Mission. The judge, having heard my testimony about the condition of the foster care system, and its negative impact on my education allowed us to live with my father on Skid Row. That was my introduction to the Union Rescue Mission. We lived in a 64 square foot room that housed 2 bunk beds, a mini fridge, and a closet. It was myself, my little sister, and my dad. We lived there for 2 years, and every morning my younger sister walked to the train for school with me from 5th and San Pedro all the way to Pershing Square. And while things were hard for me, she was going through the same things at the same time, and she was a girl and 2 years younger. Through music, I tried my best to shield her from that type of environment. We shared one earphone at a time. You may have seen it on CNN. And we would sing Alicia Keys and Lenny Williams and Toni Braxton, pretty much any R&B song that you felt compelled to sing because of the high notes that were being hit. The music helped us as we walked through the same musty smells and tried to ignore the same petty fistfights and overlook every attempt to sell us some drugs. But it was also at the Union Rescue Mission that I experienced my good times. While in high school, the stability of the shelter provided me an opportunity to participate in sports and maintain a 4.0 GPA while running 2 successful campaigns for Student Body President. That success, you see, it was individuals like Kitty Davis Walker, who's at the Union Rescue Mission, who took my story to a nationwide audience, where my accomplishments were featured on CNN, KTLA, ABC, and the Huffington Post, among several other outlets. It also connected me to my first job at Inner City Arts. It was there that I filled out my college applications and got into Loyola Marymount University. But that wasn't enough for the Union Rescue Mission, because when I was accepted, they donated the supplies that allowed me to experience a normal dorm room experience. Clothing, towels, hygiene, laundry, detergent, all the things that I was not thinking of at the time. And while in college, I was the recipient of several scholarships, including the Taylor Michael Scholarship funded by the Magic Johnson Foundation, the Union Rescue Mission Scholarship funded by the Andre Ethier and the Dodgers Foundation, the Amelia Bass Scholarship funded by Congressmember Karen Bass, as well as several grants through governmental programs. And it was during my tenure at LMU that I grew tremendously, both personally and professionally. I successfully lobbied the governor and the state legislature to prevent continuous cuts to the Pell Grant awarded to private universities. And I published a book in partnership with the Union Rescue Mission entitled From Homeless to Hopeful, Stories from Skid Row. Last, and my greatest accomplishment, I feel, assisted in the development of the new program on LMU's campus, known as the Guardian Scholars Program, which serves as a resource for former foster, homeless, and emancipated youth. And since graduating, I've continued my service to the village that helped raise me, now serving the chair of the Los Angeles Homeless and Poverty Committee, Councilman Harris Dawson. As its legislative deputy, writing effective and progressive policy that benefits South Los Angeles and over 4 million residents citywide. I work long hours and long days. I maintain 50-hour work weeks, and yet I couldn't be any happier. I've had the opportunity to witness 2 sides of this coin known as homelessness. I know too personally the complications that arise when seeking to escape the streets, and I've spent endless nights pondering a solution for it. Still, the realities of the streets are hard to come to terms with. Some people will make it out, but for some, the streets will consume every glimmer of hope until there's nothing there, nothing but despair. And so I come here with an acute sense of the cost associated with homelessness, filled with the difficult questions about the relationship between the hardship of being homeless and the realities to my limitation as an arm of the city government, and the delicate balancing act I must perfect in order to ensure that my internalization of one matter doesn't overcome the other. I was told when I started this job not to take it personally, but the stakes are too high. Make no mistake, people are out on the streets dying. I lost my sister last month on September 13th to the streets, that same sister. I miss singing with her. I miss having her under my arm, walking to the train with her. She was 23 years old and passed away due to complications due to substance abuse. But Miss Stephanie Marie Nicole Costello was known as a death risk to many of the experts who study this field. She was formerly in foster care, faced deep depression and mental anxiety, never could escape the grasp of the streets, and was a victim of domestic abuse. Yet we all have let this transition aid youth through the cracks. They say everything happens for a reason, and her death has reinforced my commitment to eradicating homelessness, and my dedication will never waver. Homelessness is not new and has been with us since the dawn of time, and in the beginning, its morality wasn't questioned. The blame for homelessness was placed solely on the individual it affected. But times are different now, and homelessness can no longer be placed on a single individual. We feel its impact in almost every urban society throughout this nation, and none being worse than Los Angeles. In every community within the city, residents and businesses and organizations have stepped up to the plate, paying more in taxes, increasing their allotted amount in volunteer time, and expanding their ability to provide resources to those on the street in what seems to be a minimal impact effort. Yet this is the largest collaborative endeavor we have embarked on to alleviate